Welcome everyone. Today we'll be discussing on the topic creativity and innovations tool. So let us proceed and dwell on creativity, dwell on product service quality, and then probably extrapolate into the innovations tool thereof. So the first and foremost thing is what exactly are we looking into it in terms of customizations for a product or a service. First, we need to identify the quality, demarcate the quality, need to deliver a quality product and services. Everybody wants to have a value for money, and this needs to improve process productivity as the case might be. Definitely yes, to prevent productions and service problems as on when on basis the product defects that there is. Need to join your daily work and improvement work. Need to stress that the improvement of the process is everyone's job and not focus on the result as the question is all about it. So herein what we look forward to, the products, the service quality, as to what are the requirements, how do we improve upon the productivity thereby, and so on and so forth. So we will talk about proactive prevention. Now remember, the topic is creativity and innovation. So if we can be proactive in preventing any malformation, or should I say any sort of complaint thereby in a product because of the product or because of the service, it helps us improve the perception of the company. Now that can only be done if we can have an SPC or statistical process control in full swing. The control and process improvement by SPC, the statistical process control, or what has been popularly known as Six Sigma, the zero defect productions per million that we are looking into it. So product and process improvement by design of experiments, DOE as the case might be, or RPD, the robust parameter design that comes across. So there are three proactive prevention methods. One is the statistical process control, the Six Sigma basis, the departmental design of experiments as the case might be, and the robust parameter design, which is essentially nothing but product and process design, which is to be documented. Yes, we need to come together for product and process design, design sensitive to the manufacturing variation, product sensitive to the users misapplications as the case might be. We'll talk about the directed creativity. Creativity is connected and rearranging of the existing knowledge to generate new, often surprising ideas that often people judge. Now, this is what has been stated in the American Society for Quality way back in 1997. So again, I repeat what Dr. Paul Eplesk did say about creativity, innovations, and quality. Creativity is connecting and rearranging of the existing, should I say, persistent knowledge and generate new, often surprising ideas that others judge as to be useful. So based on essential know-how, how do we elongate it and protrude it to a newer ideas which others sees as economically viable or beneficial to the humankind as the case scenario might be. Let us understand creative thinking. It requires that we focus our attention to do something different. For example, the Apple mouse was innovative, the practical application of creative idea, because it significantly improves the user interface. Not even computing speed or power that goes around it. It is the first Apple mouse that came around it. It significantly improves the character user interface into a graphic user interface as the case might be. Now it was much more friendly for the end customers to work on an Apple Macintosh as the case might be. Look at the directed creativity. Now directed creativity is what we Plex design. Dr. Plex defined this as a fundamental principle at the basis of creative thinking. These are AEM, as one of A for attention, new mental model, something different, something new. Based, let's say, example is cellular phone for photographs, or activity-based costing, ABC or iPod. E stands for escape, the existing mental process. We come into a new mental process altogether. Example, mental escape from affinity process forces you to diverge your ideas. and then converge them as required. Also change seating arrangements or put your head down. So first is attention to the new mental model, escape from the existing mental model, and then comes the movement. AEM is a new location. For example, the use of retreats, getting away from the usual workplace for dialogues. Note, not discussion that we are talking around it. Another example is brainstorming on keeping it moving. Now let us come to the new mental model as such. What is it that we are looking as far as innovations tools and creativity is concerned? It is system thinking. Now, this is the conceptual framework of the whole thing, as in connections, relations, and interaction. So first, there are connection between one, two, three, four individuals, probably or n numbers of individuals. First, you need to get yourself introduced and connected. Then probably forge a bond between them, as that is what relationships is all about. It and this relationship can be fostered about and solidified if there's a continuous interaction. So concept, connection, relationships, and interaction is the basic of system new thinking process of conceptual framework, studying the whole or to understand the parts, or understanding the system if per se as the case might be. Looking at creativity as a new approach, use pictures, robust design tool to also what is your mental picture, look into it as far as complexity dangers are concerned. Now we started with the ship with a flag, or the cloth as to harness the wind power. How do we go around it? Think out of box, think what has been in practice and how can we incorporate it or make the practice much easier for the usage of the mankind. Thereby it is called creativity. It is the innovation tool that comes into play, and that is what we are talking about, the PDCA cycle. It is nothing but preparing, developing, and continuous improvement. The actions there about it. So PDCS circle as the case might be. It is about preparation. It is about planning, doing, and continuously probably the feedback or the action that comes around it. So we plan up things, imagine imaginations of the steps that comes around it as a doing part of it, and developing or executing what we look out here, and that is what needs to be understood as the case might be. Yes, this is what we are looking at all times. Remember, PDCA is all about planning, doing, checking, and acting upon it. Absolutely, that is what we are looking forward to time and again. Plan, do, check, and actions is the innovation product. First step is preparing, changing your mental models. That is how significant the innovations is all about. It as a result of much thought over a long period of time. Involves a change in a personal relationship so that we observe more. Absolutely pinpoint, observe more. The absence of purposeful preparation is why it is difficult to be creative. Innovative, affinitive diagram, diverge and converge, retreat, change venue, silent time, as in head down for 2 minutes. Probably let the thought process boil over in your head. Probably you think it over the process time and again, slowly and steadily, and go accordingly as per plan. That is what the affinity diagram is all about. The retreat is all about. The silent time is all about, as the case might be. Now let us understand the four phases of directed creativity. Innovations versus creativity alone is by analogy. Is what are the examples? We have a lot of things. I'm going to give you a real life example today. For example, Pringle potato chips, which is absolutely circle in nature, and they comes in a tin boxes, almost in a it's a cardboard box, but it's has a feeling of a tin box. Is a hard cover. It is not in a any foil that it comes around it. It is chips coming in skirts in a scratch for analogies to solve the problem of broken chips. There are no question of getting it broken. Leaves in a scrapbook must be moist when pressed. Another thing would be stimulating the imagination is benchmarking by Xerox. Right now, LL Bean's warehousing operation, where they learn something new, useful, or exploring the common area. between two companies, warehousing, where temporary settings about the differences. And that is what benchmarking is all about it. Absolutely what we are looking into our competitors and what are the standards that has been expected. If we can mimic those standards and freeze those warehouse operation of two different companies, absolutely on a level. Dr. Plesk also describes about the excursions to generate creative analogies. A healthcare organization sending team members to visit Mall of America in Minneapolis for customer service and communication ideas as to look at the customer behavior orientation and how do they actually behave at the point of sales to understand creative analogies thereby. Let us go with the second step of stimulating this imagination. Need once in a while for every breakout in everyday patterns. It's a different way to work. Remember, if you work in a different settings altogether, you are forced to think differently altogether. Different time for break. Let's say for a lunch. Let's say for an exercise. You name it and you do it. You are basically moving yourself from the comfort zone. Different leisure activities. What personal patterns can you change to be more creative? What personal patterns can you change to be more innovative? And that is what we are looking. We are stimulating you. We are actually instigating you to think in an alternative fashion. What can your organization change in the management system? And that is what we are looking for it. Continuing with the imagination state by in terms of visualization. Let's say with a part of cinematic role play, Christmas card, moving on the corporate ladder, as the case might be, how we can proceed so that there is some sort of forced thinking that has been enacted upon. By reversal, Dr. Pless's accounting firm, let's say, how to decrease customer satisfaction. Now, one way to decrease the customer satisfaction is to raise the price, right? So customer will get disoriented, will discontinue the usage of your product. So what does it mean? That means price is a sensitive issue altogether. Make your client wait longer. Is that the thing? Does it actually increases the value of the product? Probably in certain cases, yes. The longer the queue in front of a retail shop, the quality conscious, or there is an imagination that comes around it. Raising the price, does this impacts on the quality of the product? Probably the perception increases. Now, what I'm trying to do about it by Dr. Pless accounting firm, it is doing the unthinkable, doing just the opposite by the in terms of conventional wisdom is concerned, make a lot of errors, insult our clients, embezzle funds from our clients. Remember, embezzlement is actually a common problem in a small startup firm. So we will offer special assessment and consulting services to ensure check and balances to reduce the exposures to the potential fraud as the case might be, and on when we are looking forward to it. It is what is the third step called development is all about it. Face the test of practicality, hopefully based on quantifiable data. This is what we are looking forward to it as the case might be. Definitely yes. If a creative idea is really innovative, then there is no way to create a really evaluate it with a complete objectivity. New ideas are usually uncomfortable since they are purposing into a new paradigm thereby. At least half of the research, battle research staff went through xeroxography. When Chester Carlson in 1937 was a stupid, it tells you about what all triangulation that came around it and the stage of the development as the case might be. The fourth step and the final step is all about action of plan, do, check, and action PDCA method. The bridges between creativity and the rewards for innovations. How do we go about it? Creative ideas have no values until and unless they are put into action. Creative ideas have no utility until and unless it is marketable. Creative ideas have no identity until and unless it has some economic values. So it has to be accurately imagined something that has never been done. In real estate, it's the location, location, and location. In adapting ideas, it is all about communication, nothing but communication. Everything is all but nothing. Nothing is all but communication. So communication is the thing that needs to be taken care for. Use cinematics, role play to act out the new proactive process of product quality and process productivity, as the case might be the fourth step. If we can go about the PDCA method, in which we say about plan, do, check, and act. Action is what we need to continue work upon it. We need to identify a pro forma that's been given in terms of challenges. What are the challenges that you go around it? And based on those challenges, can be fragmented into approach, analysis, and criteria, because this will then let us the variations in the approach, variations in the analysis, variation in the criteria that can be brought in, thought about, and that is why we wind up with the summary. Remember, the summary would be approximately 3 or 4 slides altogether. The 4 phases of preparation: imagination, development, and implementation. It's the directive creative thinking process. Remember, we are talking about creativity and innovation tool in this particular presentation. So as a directive creative thinking process, it's preparation, imagination, development, and implementation. Directive creativity is powerful, is purposeful process of generating new ideas for product quality and process productivity. When it is consciously applied, the underlying process of directed creativity involves finding something to pay attention to, escaping the usual way of thinking, and continued mental movement, as the case might be. We are talking about analogies can be very effective and directive creativity, but they are very hard mental work for the some. A few minutes of silent time for the people to reflect can be very productive and lead to creative innovation. Innovative ideas are a product or a mental process, and when improving on the product, probably service quality, we need to understand this mental cognitive process of our. It's the mechanism of our mind is critical to the successful application of directed creativity. Remember, we are here to improve on the service quality, improve or amplify the product ambience as far as the mental cognitive ability or perception of the end consumer is required. This is what we call directed creativity. They are hard mental work, but few minutes of silent time can lead to creative innovations altogether. Let us continue with the summary part and look at the creative mental connection. How does this those goes around it? There is this something which we call about the 9 dot problem. But before that, I need to take your with AEM movement, or A for attention, E for escape, and M for movement. Remember, attention is all about your mental focus. E is for more and more observation, collation of more data points that comes around it. And the last one is the movement, where you just do nothing but enact upon it. The 9 dot problem, where you can have to continue touch all the dot problem without removing your pen or a pencil, not more than four lines, and I am talking about straight lines. The challenge is to connect the 9 dot with 4 straight lines without lifting your pencil. That is what we go around it again and again. People might think it this way. Now you look at this is the right method of going around it. It is the 4 method. Look, we start big on the top and probably come up with out here, and this is what goes around it. And you see every dot has been touched. This is the 3 part that comes around it, as the case might be. But is it true? There are people who says, why 4 line? I can do it in 3 lines itself, 1, 2, and 3, wherein you just enlarge in the dots. And then there are individuals who are engineers say, why do you require 4 lines? Why 3 lines? This says can be done by 1 line itself, where there is a big line, big fat thick line which encompasses all the 9 dots, a big fat line, just 1 line. So Plex solutions to 9 dot problem is thinking out of the box. There is no solution that we cannot define ourselves. It is how to remain inside the box. The key point is that the box continues as if it is real. We assume it. There is no law that can mandate it. There is no law that can give me an instruction that requires it. And I am showing you wonderful problems as far as connecting all the 9 dots with 4 lines, with 3 lines, and possibly 1 line. So before we wind up this particular presentation, there are 2 more slides that needs to map you with the imaginary box restriction. Remember, in the three-line solution, we have escaped the box restriction altogether of four lines. We have assumed restriction that the lines has to pass through the center of the dots. In fact, we have said we will touch all the dots, nothing else, nothing to go with the center of the dots. In one-line solution, we have escaped the assumption of restriction of the skinny lines. We thought we will be putting up one line, but which will be a big, fat, thick line that can be gone around it. So, in other words, it is the way you think and your thought process enables the solution out outright altogether. Remember, the last slide for the day is to pledge, give your name so that you are going to apply ideas of collaboration, wherein at least 85% of the quality and productivity problems reside. You will practically continue mental movement by trying newer methods of assertions. As mentioned by Deming, it is not working or thinking harder, but working or thinking smarter that leads to continuous improvement. So be smart, think it out, and result your survey. You need to understand that you need to improve your style as far as communicator, director, integrator, and thinker is concerned. With this four styles, as per the survey of communicator, director, thinker, and integrator as a style, you tick which one you is close to your heart and which you can identify most with yourself, and probably think it out of box. Remember, you got to think not hard but smart to arrive to a solution, be it of all creativity and innovation tool is what we were discussed in this presentation. Thank you for watching this presentation. Thank you once again.